everybody! So today I got to see Suicide Squad, the latest superhero movie. It's been a rough year for superhero movies. We are talking about Suicide Squad, which was, I was initially pretty excited about it. I got this t-shirt and I was hopeful that it would be something new and different, and in a way it kind of was. And I went into it with as much of an open mind as I could, trying to just shut out the critics and shut out what other people thought and just look at it for myself. And so here's what I thought of Suicide Squad. So let's talk about some of the positives first. I think that they were really right on with the casting, with one notable exception in my opinion. I think that Will Smith was great as Deadshot, and I thought that he was really funny. It was kind of back to the Will Smith that I really liked from the 90s that we haven't seen for a long time. And I thought that Margot Robbie was fine as Harley Quinn. She's kind of exactly what you expect her to be, and it works for the role, and I liked her. And I thought the rest of the crew was good. I thought that Viola Davis was really good as Amanda Waller, the lady who's organizing the Suicide Squad and kind of putting it out there. And I thought that she did a really good job. And then you had some other good casting. I thought that Jai Courtney was fine. I'm not a big fan of his, but they didn't give most of the other cast, aside from Margot Robbie and Will Smith, I didn't think that they gave them enough time to really flesh out their characters. And so you really only had a couple of lines from most of these characters. Slipknot is the worst one of all. Like, he grunts a couple times and that's about it. He's not developed at all. And Katanya was horribly done. The way they introduced that character, it was so awkward. It was just like, and here's Katana. She's that, and they just explained. It was so awkward. And the introduction of the characters in general was really, really poorly done. I mean, the whole first third of the whole first act of the movie was all just one introduction and then another introduction and then another introduction and another introduction. And that didn't work for me. It felt really, really clunky. Even though I liked the performances, it just didn't work in telling a cohesive story, cohesive narrative. Other positive things that I liked, it was nice to have something new, something different from the superhero world. The group of villains. I thought that was sort of refreshing and different. And there was, in some scenes, there was some sort of visually interesting, the way they used colors, the way they, the way they designed certain characters, the costumes, things I thought were all pretty well done. I thought, for the most part, the special effects were pretty well done. So there were some positives about the movie, and I think if you go in and you just are looking for these characters and you don't really care that much about the story, then I think that you can go in kind of the same way you would see. It reminded me a lot of Batman Forever, the Joel Schumacher film, that with some pretty charismatic performances in that film, and some visually interesting choices that were there, but the story is pretty weak. And so it kind of reminded me of that. So if you can watch Batman Forever and have some fun with it and enjoy it on some level, then I think that you can watch Suicide Squad and enjoy it. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good movie, and there were some big problems that I had with it. And the truth is, even though I found some of these performances to be engaging and there to be some different new things about the film, I kind of, after a while, found myself getting a little bit bored. And I don't know, just the story of the mission of what they were called upon to fight against, I just found myself not that engaged. I just didn't. At least with something like Ghostbusters, it had characters that I kind of related to a little bit, and that I had sort of fun with some of the dialogue. The first thing that I really didn't care for is the villain. And normally I'm not a person who cares about villains. I don't really mind if you have a weak villain. But in this case, I felt like it was right out of something out of Gods of Egypt. Like the design of hers, and then there was like this other brother of hers that I thought really felt like Gods of Egypt, and it was just, I thought, really cheesy and just I don't know, it didn't work for me. I didn't think, I was trying to give this emotion behind her character and her relationship to another character, and I just didn't think that worked at all. And partly it didn't work because there's long stretches where you don't even see her at all. And they're just fighting these kind of, I don't know, these kind of liquidy goons of hers that she creates when she touches people. Some other problems is normally I'm not somebody who cries studio interference, but this screamed it so much. There were scenes that just felt so wedged in for comic effect, and it just made it feel uncomfortable and stopped the story from going forward. For example, there's a scene where they've had this major battle with these goons, with these creatures, and it's been pretty tense, and then they all of a sudden stop everything and then go and have a drink and have this scene at the bar, which it just felt like, where are the rest of the goons? Where are the other people they're fighting? Where are things like, don't you need to be saving things? Don't you need to be continuing on with your mission? And the mission was very fuzzy, I felt like. It was just kind of like, we've got to defeat Enchantress. But there was never a sense of a plan of like, how are we going to defeat Enchantress? Because the supposed appeal of this Suicide Squad, they are metahumans that are going to be able to defeat Enchantress, who's a metahuman. But the problem is that only 2 of the Suicide Squad are actually metahumans. And so I don't see there's Diablo and there's the Killer Croc. The rest are just regular humans that happen to have skills and things. And so I don't see why in this world they wouldn't have called on Wonder Woman and they wouldn't have called on Batman in this world. Why do they need this group of people at this time? I don't think it effectively explained that. And so when they would take these diversions, it just felt like, what is going on? Like, why are we stopping the action? Why are we stopping the momentum of the story? And, they were sometimes kind of charming scenes, but it just felt out of place. It felt like a studio was saying, add more fun stuff, because that's actually what happened. And I thought that the other big problem with this movie is that they expected us to believe that there was these relationships between these members of the Suicide Squad very quickly, and I didn't buy it. Scene between the Will Smith character and the Harley Quinn character, where you're supposed to buy that he has this relationship with her that's going to stop him from doing something, and they had hardly had a conversation through the movie. There's no way that I would believe that, given his personality and everything that we know about him, that he would have done what he did in that scene. And so they wanted it both ways. They wanted these guys to be supervillains. They wanted them to be these evil guys, but they wanted them also have the heart of gold, and also for them to be this family and this group of friends, and that that you're supposed to buy that. And I didn't really ever feel that. I didn't, and maybe other people did. I didn't. Problem with 2 of the roles. With El Diablo, I felt like he was kind of a caricature of sort of a Latino gangster guy, and I don't know. I didn't really like that, because that's a very big stereotype. And I also felt like I didn't like Jared Leto's Joker. Sorry, it was not. The Joker is supposed to be about chaos. He's supposed to be somebody who likes creating chaos. And in this case, he's like this crime lord. He's like this mob boss. And that's not the Joker. That's not who the Joker is. And so to me, it didn't really work. And you get so little of him that I found that just frustrating, and I just didn't care for that portrayal or that performance. So that's just my personal opinion. You could go in and see it and love it, and that's awesome. More power to you if you do. But for me, I thought that it was I thought that it had some compelling performances. It had some spirit of fun in it, but I thought that the editing, the writing, and the villain were poor, and there were some casting that I disagreed with, some performances that I didn't like. And so altogether, there were some positives, but there were more negatives than positives for me. And so I still think that Suicide Squad is better than X-Men Apocalypse, and I think it is better than The Killing Joke. Whether it's better than Batman v Superman, I think they're about the same. I think they both have strengths, they both have weaknesses, and so yeah, they're just different. I like them for different reasons, I dislike them for different reasons. So that is sort of my thought on those. I'm gonna give it the same grade that I gave Batman v Superman. I'm gonna give it a C-. And so let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What is your opinion on Suicide Squad? And so yeah, I was hoping it would be great. I was hoping I'd love it, but yeah, not so much. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Please subscribe to my channel, and thanks so much. Bye.